In this video, I want to talk about Gamesense. In my last video, I talked about how developing Gamesense requires the aim to back it up. But let's say you have the aim to back it up. You spent all those hours in the range, in aim trainers, and in deathmatch. What now? I'm going to break Gamesense down into 3 components: awareness, knowing, and action. Which is 1, being aware of what's happening, 2, knowing what to do, and 3, knowing how to do it. This is the basic framework that I use in all of my games, and I have found that it applies at all levels of play. If you're looking to rank up to Diamond, Ascendant, or beyond, then I think this will serve as a good foundation for developing God-level Gamesense. Part 1. Awareness. Do you ever have those rounds where you've lost all track of the enemy? Those rounds where they could be literally anywhere. Behind you, beside you, left, right, above, below, and you start to feel that overwhelming pressure from all sides, and it seems like there's nowhere left to hide. Well, sometimes that just happens, but most of the time it can be prevented. This is why we need to talk about awareness. Perfect awareness would be knowing everything that's happening on the server at all times. Every tiny piece of information that could possibly affect the outcome of a round. This is obviously impossible. We're not robots. We can't know everything. But what we can do is be aware of the few key pieces of information that are most likely to affect the round's outcome. So, what are the things you should pay most attention to? As I see it, there are 5 key things. Number 1. Positioning. Try to be aware of where everyone is playing. Remember which enemies you saw and where you saw them. Then communicate that to your team. You should be paying attention to your comms. Did someone call flank but no one's reacting? Double down on that comm and call care flank. When you're on attack, you should be taking note of which enemy agents are on each side. When you're on defense, you should be looking at where your team is set up and asking yourself, what is the best position I could play? Number 2. Economy. Make the habit of checking the economy at the start of every round. If the enemy has a full buy, a half buy, or an eco, that will affect your buying decision and how you ought to play the round. Number 3. Ultimates and other impact abilities. You should try your best to be aware of what abilities everyone has available. For starters, it's good to check what ultimates are coming into each round. On a more micro level, when fighting an enemy, knowing what abilities they have left and how they can use them against you is critical. Number 4. Enemy tendencies. This one is a difficult one. Good players try to be unpredictable, but nonetheless there are often little tendencies that you can take advantage of, so watch them closely. Note the little things, like whether they like to jiggle peek or wide swing. Are they playing aggressive or timid? If your enemy is predictable, then it's the easiest thing in the world to take advantage of. Let's say that you know that their Reyna peeks long every round. Simply grab a buddy or two and take the fight on your terms. You could even use a flash or a stun, and if you have the money, an operator can guarantee a kill against overzealous enemies. Number 5. Win conditions. Know your win conditions. A win condition is your path to victory. It is the reason you win the round. For example, if your enemy is on eco and you have a full buy, your win condition could be taking longer range gunfights and trying not to lose any guns to the enemy team. Conversely, their win condition might be winning an enemy rifle and then leveraging that rifle to win the round. There are as many win conditions as there are grains of sand in a desert, so how could you learn them all? Honestly, one of the best ways to learn them is to lose, and lose a lot. Every time you lose a round or a match, it is an opportunity to learn a new win condition, which you can now use in your future games. So those are the 5 keys to awareness. 1. Positioning. 2. economy. 3. Ultimates and other impact abilities. 4. Enemy tendencies. And 5. Win conditions. Just by doing a simple mental checklist of these 5 things at the start of every round, you can eliminate simple mistakes and win more rounds. Part 2. Knowing. Wait, isn't knowing the same thing as awareness? Well, kinda. Knowing in this context is about knowing what to do. This is the game side of Gamesense. Imagine Valorant is like a game of chess, where each team is moving their pieces to the optimal position. Well, just like chess, every move has its ideal countermove. Every strategy has its counter-strategy. Knowing what moves counter each other is a great beginning to acquiring Gamesense. For knowing the right counterplay, there's both good and bad news. The good news is that you can logically deduce the right counterplay for almost every situation, which is something I plan to cover in a future video. The bad news is that you probably won't have enough time to do this in-game, especially if you're encountering a situation for the first time. This is why experience tends to make you a better player, because you get exposed to a wide variety of scenarios, and you get to see what makes them winning and what makes them losing. This allows you to react quickly to a changing situation and make the best possible move. Every time you win or lose a round, you need to be asking yourself why. Why you won or why you lost. It's easy to say something like, "Oh, my teammates are throwing," or "I'm so bad," and it's really hard to honestly evaluate what could have been done better. Try thinking about what different position you could have played. Did you have time to move to a better spot? What about peeking? Did you peek too much, or maybe too little? Maybe you had the perfect ability, but you forgot to use it. These are the kinds of things I'd recommend thinking about. Part 3. Action. Let's say you have enough awareness. Let's say you even know the right counterplay. What now? Now is the time to act. Now is the time to execute the play. Wait, it all went horribly wrong. Was it the wrong play? Was I too unaware? No, it happens. This brings me to perhaps the most important point of this video. Just because a play does not work, that does not mean that it was the wrong play. Sometimes you just get unlucky. Sometimes you miss. Sometimes the enemies threw the exact combination of abilities to shut you down. It's okay. Keep this in mind when you watch Valorant pros. I can guarantee you that with money and glory on the line, the vast majority of their plays are good plays. Maybe even the best play. But even for them, it doesn't always work out. We should think about plays like tools in a toolbox. Some players have more, some players have less. What's more, each play can be executed better or worse depending on how much practice you've had with that play. So don't despair if it doesn't work out. If you believe it's the right play, be brave enough to try it again. You can only get better. So that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This was an introduction to Gamesense and how to think your way through the ranks. If you liked the video and want me to continue making content like this, please drop a like and a subscribe. Thank you.